Be very quiet. Nobody say a word. If he drops any of this, the cops will just fucking mag dump on everybody. Don't do it, little guy. Don't do it. Ah, fuck.
Greenwald, hit the lights! The switch on the wall beside you! Go for it! Flick it, quick!
Some of those that work forces are the same that burn crosses. Some of those that work forces are the same that burn crosses. And some of those that burn crosses are the same that hold office. And some of those that burn crosses are the same that hold office. And they're killing in the name of. They're killing in the name of.
This is not a game. Go to grown men you've never met before and tell them how they can dress. This is America. It's a free country. We have a First Amendment right, and subsequent case law backed up 1,000 times that we can cut and say whatever we want. If you don't like it, change your diaper and go find a different job. You're supposed to listen to us. We pay you. So listen to us. We pay you.
Oh, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Oh, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Oh, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Oh, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Oh, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Oh, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Oh, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Yeah! Yeah!
We're here is because Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champion Warren Sapp was arrested by your sheriff for having the nerve to speak. He was arrested for speech. And then your sheriff doubled down and said it was his fault that he dared to speak. We come in here and you double, triple down against free speech. You started crying and adjourned the meeting over free speech. You guys obviously have a problem with constitutional civil rights that you swore to preserve, protect, and defend. We drove for hours. We're serious about the Constitution. We are activists, and we got his back. And now he's suing you for $20 million. Is that going to come out of your pocket, or is it going to come out of these taxpayers' pocket? You told him to take off his hat. He said take off your tie, and you turned beet red and got all furious. You don't like being told what to do, either do we. The same respect we show you, you show to us. We have the right to speak, and we shouldn't be locked in cages like animals because your feelings got hurt. The harder you press against us, the harder we're going to press against you. This is not a game. This is not a game. This is not a game. This is not a game.
Military and put my life on the line for this country. It's tough knowing that our nation promotes things like abortions and transitioning kids. How do you reconcile serving a country that upholds these values like these, and how can we as conservatives fight against these policies while still serving proudly?
Okay, I'm going to talk about Charlie Kirk And number one thing that you guys need to know is that I had no clue who this dude was, right? I have scrolled through a couple shorts on YouTube and seen him before, but anytime I see like the public debate things, I just skip them because I don't give a fuck. Like anybody that's wearing a red or anything that has anything to do with anything political, I skip it as fast as I can because I can't stand politics and I can't stand the same shit being said over and over. Obviously, that's not my thing, right? But every now and then I do listen to that shit if it's on my YouTube when I come home, or if I leave my YouTube on accident or whatever. I've heard his voice before. I honestly thought he was an actor because, like, you know, like most of the time they get like some famous actor guy to come talk to college. I don't know. I really didn't know who he was, but I've been going down the rabbit hole and I have my thoughts because I've also got the kill shot. I also have the kill shot too recorded. So like I'm able to see what those other guys were seeing right in there when they think it's like a squib or something like that or whatever. But so I have a very, very well structured idea and thought about what happened and why. And that's the main thing too, is everybody's conspiracy theories about all comes down to what happened because of why, right? And my why is completely different than everybody else's. So now, before we hear his answer to this question or what he's about to respond, which, by the way, is definitely interesting. I don't know how much you know about this guy, but I would not expect him to say what he's about to say. But before that, we're going to hear something else.
Excuse me, sir. You need to get behind the podium.
Sorry, I was just getting a shot here. All right. Sorry about that, man.
A context check. This is right after the supposed Donald Trump assassination attempt. This is Richardson, Texas, and this is open public comment time.
Appreciate you. All right. Sorry, my name is Chester Mitchell, and I'm going to get into it 1 second here, pull up my speech here, but council, or should I say crooked deep state politicians and swamp creatures, I'm here today because just last week, my beloved president, the Lord's anointed, and my idol, Donald J. Trump, was nearly killed in a pathetic assassination attempt by a skinny little soy boy libtard cuck that couldn't have weighed more than 100 pounds soaking wet. And the only way this was made possible is because it was an inside job orchestrated by a clone of Hillary Clinton and her swamp minions. Because as most of you know, the real Hillary Clinton is not alive with us today because they killed her a long time ago in Guantanamo Bay. But this is the last straw. And we the people will not be quiet any longer. We will fight to the death to save our beautiful country in the name of Donald J. Trump. And just as Jesus Christ was hated without a cause, then later crucified, for the past 8 years, Donald J. Trump has been crucified by the fake news media and libtards. And just like Jesus Christ rose from the dead on the third day, Donald Trump will rise and win the 2024 presidential election by a landslide. And we will make liberals cry and make America great again. So don't be scared like Peter when he denied Jesus 3 times and made the cock crow. Because there are so many people out there who deny Trump because they're scared little pussies. Now, we got to stand up for our right to fight, as the Beastie Boys said. Now, let me tell you something. We have nothing to fear but fear itself. Do you understand that? I just thought of that a second ago. That was pretty good, right? But anyways, if we have Donald Trump on our side, we have nothing to fear because we can't lose. We have Donald Trump. Do you understand that? Now, and let me just say this. If you guys saw the RNC, Amber Rose is voting for Donald Trump. Now, that really caught my attention. That was amazing. And Amber Rose, damn, she's sexy. You seen her? I'll just subscribe to her OnlyFans. Got a 50% discount. You know, once she did that, she gave a 50% discount until election time. So if you use code PRES47, you can get 50% off her OnlyFans. You get a sneak peek, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But definitely highly recommend it. It's a good time. And she's super conservative like me. And I just want to say, I will flee. I will bleed Trump 2020. I will bleed MAGA, and I will die for Donald Trump. I'll take a bullet to my head 1,000 times for my president, Donald J. Trump. Liberals, come get me. Liberals, come attack me right now. I'm waiting for you. I will die on the hill of Trump. I would have taken a bullet from that soy boy anytime. But we had some lesbian protecting our president, our beloved, the Lord's anointed. But what happened? God stopped that bullet. Did y'all see that? Did y'all see Trump 2024? Did y'all see that? Did you see my chest? I just got tatted earlier. That's right. I bleed red, white, and blue. And I'm gonna get home and I'm gonna watch some Donald Trump marathons. I'm gonna watch The Apprentice, because every time I watch that great show, by the way, if you haven't seen the show, The Apprentice, watch The Apprentice, read The Art of the Deal. You know, that's actually my second favorite book other than the Schofield Reference Bible.
Obviously, this guy's a troll, right? And he's what he's doing is making fun of somebody who, well, actually, he's making fun of everybody. This is how all people think, right? Oh, that are, Trump or, pro-Trump or whatever at this time, right? But what's crazy about it is, and what makes it so funny is that this character is like the general public, you know what I mean? And the thing is what I think is to take from this is what he said about going home, watching The Apprentice, I'm going to go home, watch TV. Like after he literally just said, Trump is Jesus and I'll die for him. His next thing is, I'm going to go home and watch TV. Right, because that's what made him this way, is being forced or having this whatever propaganda forced down your throat, right, because of TV. But that's not how it is anymore. TV is not even a thing anymore. The majority of people do not watch TV to get any kind of news or be swayed in any propagandist kind of way by a television anymore and by standardized cable. And that's a huge issue. Remember that.
By the way, Daily Wire, great to you. Love Ben Shapiro. I love you guys. Thank you. And let's make America great again. Let's make liberals cry, baby. Trump 2024. Trump 2020. How you doing? I back the blue, too. I back the blue. I love y'all. Thank you so much. Should have brought another shirt, but appreciate y'all. Yeah, let me get that.
Okay, and here's another speech at another city meeting.
White racist oppressors. My name Brian. I'm 2% black. And I'm going to be speaking on the new airport that is going to be in McKinney, Texas, which I'm in favor of. Now, let's get into it. The airport will be called George Floyd International Airport to honor a hero who served as a security guard in the Salvation Army. The airport will not only be not racist, but it will be anti-racist. Airport terminals will be named the following: George Floyd, Jacob Blake, Breonna Taylor, and her boyfriend, and after the greatest mayor of all time, Lori Lightfoot.
Just like in the Trump assassination attempt or whatever. So they use that to bolster his political status, right? And then when it's the death of a person, right, like a tragic death of one of us, they use it to name a specific type of legislation or a bill. He's just making the joke that we should name the airport terminals that so everybody sees it. You know what I mean? I mean, it's joking, but that's what they do, dude. And they use that death to make legislation. So, I mean, in general, it's either to propagandize somebody into thinking a certain way or to make a certain kind of legislation, forcing them by using their police force to enforce whatever legislation that is to act a certain way, right? So those are the two things that government does with, untimely deaths, right? If they can't control, everything else. And with Charlie Kirk, it's a double whammy because they can do both, right? They can, well, I'll explain that later. Just keep listening.
Airport runway strips will have strippers and be covered with Black Lives Matter logos painted across all of them in order to fight and combat racism, also known as white supremacy. Flights will only go to Democrat cities, such as Minneapolis, Chicago, and Detroit. Any flights coming from Republican cities will be labeled a racial threat.
You see what's going on here, right? I mean, and this is what they do, like a terroristic threat, right? Now we got to make anti-terrorism laws so we can go attack the people that we are calling terrorists, right? So he's just saying, anyway, he's just doing the, anyway, you get what's happening here, right?
Shot down immediately with laser-guided missiles.
Even here, he's foreshadowing, saying laser-guided missiles, using pretty much experimental technology or just cutting-edge, ridiculous to over-technologically advanced motives of destruction to do something like shoot down a plane. You know what I mean? A Republican plane going to a Democratic city. Come on, like it's the government using newer technology to do something so drastic and stupid with it that it doesn't even make sense, right? Like, for example, using AI or ChatGPT to, like, I don't know, arrest somebody who was on a live stream talking about roasting a pig, like making fun of a cop, when the cops or the AI actually thought it was somebody saying that they wanted to hurt the police.
Flights to Minneapolis, Minnesota will be free for looters on May 25th, which is when our hero George Floyd passed away, sadly. Airport lines will include the following, or airport airlines will include the following: Spirit and Air Jordan. There will be no airport security, which means you will save time and not have to worry about being caught up with some funny business like a loaded gun in your bag. Black people will be allowed to bring guns and bombs on planes for self-defense against white supremacy. The N-word will be called the trigger word, which means they will now be allowed to pull it. The airport will have a mega strip club with exotic black dancers and big white girls, which will be great for long layovers. Pre-wrapped blunts and variety of weed edibles, such as brownies and cookies, will be available for in-flight purchase. All pilots will be black trans women. All airlines will have black squares on them to end racism. Oxygen masks that come down will say, "I can't breathe." Before every plane takes off, there will be an 8-minute moment of silence to honor our hero, George Floyd.
See, as funny as this is, it's all true stuff. Like, these are all things airlines did in response to 9/11, right? They changed all these things in favor of the government, right? So he's doing is highlighting that if we did this in favor of us, well, I mean, he's using black people and black culture as the reference, but I mean, if we did this all in favor of us, these are the things that it would be. You know what I mean? There would be a strip club in the middle of the airport. You know what I mean? Like, there would be things like, if we were allowed to break the rules every time somebody died and we called them a hero, then this is how it would be if we were there. You know what I mean? But again, it's funny because it's so ridiculously true. It's ridiculous and true, which makes it funny and everybody laughs it off. But these are all facts, dude. This is
In-flight entertainment will include George Floyd's sex tape and a first-class seating with a stripper. Yeah, with strippers. In-flight refreshments will include Popeye's chicken, watermelon, and grape Kool-Aid. White people will sit in the back of the plane so that they can live the experience of Rosa Parks. Airport currency will include counterfeit $20 bills. Airport restaurants will include the following: Popeye's chicken. The end. Now let's get to work on this. Let's get this airport built it up and stuff. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna lie, that honey over there, she fine. What's her name? I can't even, I'm nervous. I'm like shaking, my heart's beating out of my chest right now. Hey, let's do it though. Let's get this airport built it up. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all.
and comedians are experts in human behavior, and most people don't realize this until it's too late. Like, for example, the same reason people say that Tupac could tell the future or he predicted. They always say it's he predicted this because he said this, right? Well, it's because people that are experts in human behavior make a joke out of what would be a prediction, but when it becomes true, it's never what's it called? Recognized as, you know, it's called a prediction, whatever. So comedians are our best glimpse into future government behavior, period. And you can believe it or not, but I mean, George Carlin is just 100% proof of that. So, and see, when the government goes to kill somebody or assassinate somebody, it's not to cover something up or to stop the speech that the certain person is using. They would have shot John Felix a long time ago, like in 2002 probably. That's like a cover your ass technique. That's a side effect of petty criminals. And although the government is made up of criminals that do petty things, they are not as a whole petty criminals, right? And so there would have to be a benefit behind the assassination of somebody like Charlie Kirk, right? There would have to be a benefit, and on top of that, just to really bring it all home, there would have to be a story behind it as well. Like, it wouldn't just be that gets martyred for what he's saying and then we all promote what he's saying, like normal, right? There would have to be a good story behind it, and there would have to be it wouldn't be as a result of just covering their own ass, right? So there would have to be a purpose behind this, like an actual concrete purpose for doing this, and some kind of story that would be able to be told about it because of it or whatever. So anyway, those are requirements of a government hit, and I think this was a government hit. There's one other absolutely requirement, and that would be a threat to the government. So a single person that threatens the government traditionally has always been for the one and only, well, the one and so far the only threat that has ever threatened government is peace, right? If you have world peace, there's no need for government. There's no need for enforcement of that government and their rules because everybody's at peace. You know what I mean? Like, peace is the number one threat to any government. So if you think about all the traditional assassinations, like all of them, it's all been because these people had too many people backing them whenever they were talking about peace. You know what I'm saying?
Assassination. You know what's interesting about assassination? Well, not only does it change those popularity polls in a big fucking hurry, but it's also interesting to notice who it is we assassinate. Do you ever notice who it is? Stop to think of who it is we kill. It's always people who've told us to live together in harmony and try to love one another. Jesus, Gandhi, Lincoln, John Kennedy, Bobby Kennedy, Martin Luther King, Medgar Evers, Malcolm X, John Lennon. They all said, try to live together peacefully. Bam! Right in the fucking head.
Interesting revelation there, right? So think about that for a minute. I mean, the most people who are promoting peace are the ones who traditionally are getting assassinated, right? And you've heard the saying that a government should fear its people, and we as the people even say that, that the government should, you guys, we're only letting you do this, and you should, beware of the day that we all, fight back. But that's not what it is. You should be aware of the day we all stop giving a fuck, because fighting back is good for business, right? That's what they want. Like, think about what's all that's transpired in the last year or two, dude. How many emergency orders that Donald Trump has signed? And an emergency order just sets aside the rules, the normal laws and rules, right? They can't follow their laws and rules on a day-to-day basis, right? They are itching for the day that any emergency can happen to where they set it aside. I mean, look at cops, dude. Everything is an exigent circumstance to them because all they want to do is break all the rules. You know what I mean? We now, on the other hand, no longer ignorant of the rules and laws, but we follow them all, right? Which is why they're having to arrest people for walking and stuff. Carjackings, murders, rapes, arson, all the hardcore crimes are no longer really they're just not really an issue anymore, right? Now it's jaywalking and talking, you know what I mean? Things that we can, driving, walking, and talking are the things that people get arrested for the most nowadays. And those are all things that we have to do as people, right? They've stopped arresting people and focusing on actual acts of criminal, criminality, and started focusing on the necessities, walking, talking, and driving. Think about that. I mean, think about what that means as far as us as a people and them as a government. It's not much longer before, like, they really have nothing to do, right? So it's not, they don't need to fear us as far as fighting back. They need to fear us as far as not giving a fuck or believing in the government. So traditionally, that is what the reason for killing is somebody like, Martin Luther King is because he's got everybody convinced that peace is the way to go. And millions of people have this great idea and are going to not believe in the government. And, so they go ahead and kill him in front of everybody. And then, of course, people, natural reaction. So anyway, the predetermined reaction that we have from a death of someone or shooting of someone typically leads to, like, outrage or rage, or like we saw in the beginning with that the Trump supporter, right? Or like severe diehard, Jesus-like support for someone, right? Now, what happens when you're not allowed to control that, when you're not allowed to present that information, like on a TV program or in a news story, right? What happens whenever you can literally the transfer of information is so quick and so good that you completely ignore that. So now the government doesn't really have any control over what they propagandize and what deaths they, make do certain things or whatever, or give you, or they have no control over whether it's your reaction that they're going to get or a response to it. You know what I'm saying? So, like, literally, the internet and social media is a threat to the government. And all the normal tricks didn't work, right? Like all the rapes or whatever, or the undocumented immigrants raping girls and whatever. All that normal stuff didn't work to get legislation passed so they can control the internet, right? So they can control social media. Think about how controlled like cable TV is. There is cable TV in every prison in America. You know what I mean? That's how much they trust it. Now think about if you had access, full internet access to YouTube and all these other social media channels in prison at all times for everyone, right? Like, you know what I mean? You would have riots every day with the information that these prisoners were allowed to get about their conviction, about their whole thought about the law in general, why they're in there. Dude, there would be a riot every single day if they had full-on internet access to any website, any web browser, and could just search the web like we do here at home. You know what I mean? It would clog the court system so bad to have ChatGPT write up an appeal for every case of every person inside one prison, let alone all of them. You know what I mean? But on the other hand, there is cable TV in every single one of those prisons. It's because it's so censored and so government controlled that no matter what information is on there, it's not going to, you know what I mean? It's not going to be anything that eventually turns into, you know, anything that's a riot or anything like that. So anyways, I'm just saying that's the difference between the TV and the social media is how, you know, controlled it is or whatever. Right. But see, now a new thing has presented itself, and this is even crazier. But what AI has done is going to be game changing, and I think it has to do with this assassination, right? I think this is the first of its kind for this reason of its kind. It's because Charlie Kirk he wasn't like a Martin Luther King or Jesus. He wasn't, you know, what is it called? Like unjustly hated for something for no reason or whatever. Like he wasn't pushing for world peace. You know what I mean? In fact, it's really hard to tell what he was pushing for. I mean, his certain belief system, yes, but his views were different on everything. You know what I mean? And he really was just pushing for conversation and talking and you know, free exchange of ideas and stuff. Like he wasn't about a certain thing. So his assassination doesn't fit in with the normal government, you know, slaying of a person who, you know, has a good following or whatever. So it doesn't make sense on that respect because he wasn't about world peace, but he still got, you know, killed by the government. And then so it just doesn't fit. And I'll explain that here in a minute, but just know that there is no government control basically over the propaganda that you see. Like you choose the propaganda you want to consume, right? And that is a huge threat to them, right? If you think about it, being at peace is the same thing is the American people being at peace, however many millions of us, is the exact same thing as all the same millions of us not giving a fuck about the government and just ignoring them. Here's an example of what I'm talking about. So I just typed in Donald Trump on search on YouTube, right? And then so here's what he's done in the last whatever. He signed a presidential memorandum on the 15th, which was 12 hours ago. Only 89,000 people have viewed that. That is like something that those 89,000 people are probably all people who are connected to either the Republican or they're all political, they're all government people probably. You know what I mean? That's about right. And now check this out. This is like, look how many politicians are there. Look how much money is in this room between camera equipment and salaries and people, important people. So, for example, this one has 226,000 views in 12 hours. So let's say, like 4 days from now, how many will it have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so let's say in 5 days, so 220 times, let's say 10, right? So 2.5 million, and that's if the view rate stays the same, right? So let's say that it's like 2.5 million views in 5 days, right? Which it won't, it'll slow down, it'll be way less than that. But let's say in 5 days this has maybe 2.5 million views, right? There's a kid, just literally a kid that rolled out of bed and turned on his webcam.
Social media that has turned up the temperature in all political conversations, all social conversations.
Millions of dollars worth of professional experience and suits and ties and positions. The president of the United States in Forbes Breaking News magazine cannot get as many people to look at them as a grungy kid who rolled out of bed, turned on his webcam in his parents' attic one day for something that happened. right? Like, he didn't even use like the title. Like the Forbes one says Charlie Kirk assassinated, blah, all these buzzwords. This just says something happened today, right? Did this grungy ass son of a bitch can put on a white shirt, turn on his webcam, go up into his parents' attic and write something happened today, and he can get 3 million people to look at it, and the president can't even get 1 million people to watch in 12 hours him signing something that is a president's fucking order. Like, give me a break, dude. That is a threat to them. That absolutely is a threat to them. And on top of that, what's pissing them off is they can't understand because they use all the classic clickbait things like assassination and Charlie Kirk and dead and, you know, blah, 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 right? And they still can't get people to click and view them, right? It's because we don't give a fuck about the government. We don't care anymore. This guy right here can sway more political opinions in any direction he wants than Forbes magazine can. Think about that, right? Okay, now we're getting the picture. And that's just by himself. And he didn't even use what's it called? Propagandist titles. Like the president one was titled Charlie Kirk dies, bill gets signed, right? All he put was something happened yesterday. He doesn't even have to advertise it and he's going to get the people's attention. You know what I mean? And it's not just him. There is 100, 200 more just like him. Here's kind of the catch-22 thing is, and I've said it before, that the youth of the nation is so pussified. Everybody is so emotionally and mentally soft that nobody responds to violence anymore, right? Killing somebody or, you know, beating somebody to death is literally just, we look away from it because we're so used to it only being from the government and so used to it being a thing that we don't want to be a part of, that we just look away from it. What used to be a call to action and get up and do something is now, that's just sad. And that's what's coming back to bite them in the ass. For years, they've been teaching in schools that it's not a fight if you don't fight back, right? Well, you have an entire youth of people that are not going to fight back and that are just going to look the other way when you're violent to somebody and are not going to respond to it. That emotional response that the government relies upon whenever something like this happens is not going to happen anymore, right? It's just going to be ignored, right? Regardless of whatever you put on whatever TV or whatever propaganda you try to shove down our throats. But again, just like every other problem like this that's happened in history, they find a way to fucking weasel their way in there and fucking fuck shit up. Traditionally, that would be with force or, you know, blackmail of some sort. But again, like I said, these kids are not going to respond to any of that. You can't buy them off because they don't give a fuck, right? They don't care about money. They don't care about the government. They don't care about that shit. They want to play video games and be the, you know, whatever. So you can't bribe them and you can't, you know, hold their family hostage and, you know, kidnap their mom and, you know, ransom them into saying a certain thing or doing a certain thing. And we've already figured out you can't control social media. You can control a little bit, only if it's for the kids or safety or whatever, but you can't control it in that respect because people are going to, like I said, choose the propaganda that they want to, you know what I mean, that they want to consume, right? So what the fuck can they possibly do? What part of this can they control if they can't kill somebody and get a response, you know, assassinate somebody and get a violent response out of the people? And they can't do it by infesting the TV, you know, forcing you to watch the TV that they put their propaganda on. They can only put their propaganda on the internet and hope that you decide to click on it and consume it. And what do? You know what I mean? And that's where this assassination comes in. Because remember, it didn't fit the mold, right? He wasn't a fucking advocator for peace. I love everybody, hug the trees, and peace everybody around the world. You know what I mean? He was assassinated without that premise, right? So it's just odd because now we're going to switch gears to music.
Okay, I want you to watch these two videos and tell me if you see the difference between them.
Given to Fly, that's one of your riffs. Mm-hmm. That has such a unique groove to it. What are you playing on the guitar during that?
Well, I
don't even, honestly,
I have to tune it.
What is the tuning of it?
It's Dadgad.
Okay.
So do you see it or is it just me? Last night, Rick called me and he sent me those two videos and he said, look at this. What do you see? And immediately I noticed one of them looked like an AI deep fake of his short. You can see it in his face, in his hair, in Mike McCready's face, his facial features. It just looks uncanny and weird and fake. It just looks like AI made it, but that's not an AI deepfake. Both of those videos are Rick's videos. One was uploaded to Instagram and one was uploaded to YouTube Shorts. And the one that looks like an AI deepfake is here on YouTube. And as we were talking about this, he told me to go look at my stuff. So I pulled up my most recent example of a video that I uploaded to YouTube and to Instagram. And lo and behold, the one on YouTube looks like an AI deepfake. At first, it's a little difficult to tell, but if you start to look at things like the neck pickup on the Gretsch that I'm playing, or the way the strings go over the pickup, or the Sting logo on the shirt that I'm wearing, or the wrinkles on the shirt, or the details of my hair, it just looks wrong. And the more you look at it, the more it starts to step out. But I wanted to be sure that it wasn't just me and Rick, because admittedly, we're both nerds for this kind of stuff. So I went over and asked my wife, who is a professional photographer. She spends her days editing photos and film photos that she developed and making content of her own. And this is what she had to say. Okay, can I get your reaction to this really quick? These are screen recordings of my short. One is from Instagram and one is from YouTube. This is Instagram. That's YouTube.
You look kind of like, oh, this one's fake.
So you think the YouTube one is fake?
This looks weird. Your shirt looks weird. The wrinkles in your shirt looks weird. Oh, why is the pickup like that?
That's the video. That's the actual video we posted.
Oh, it's like really, it looks like it's AI.
Okay, it's not AI. That's the short that we uploaded. This is Rick. This is his YouTube short.
Oh,
Look
that
at
you
his
can
face.
definitely tell.
Look at that.
Yeah, you can definitely
and here's
tell.
the same one on Instagram.
That has Given to
Oh,
Fly as
weird.
one of your riffs.
Right? That looks fake. Like if I saw that and my brain would flag that as like, oh, Rick's uploading AI content now.
Is it something that we unintentionally agreed to in the terms and conditions?
I don't know.
Or that has been
Maybe.
updated that we didn't realize we agreed to, that they're just doing?
I'm not sure. Okay, so here's a Reddit thread that I found, r/YouTube. It says YouTube Shorts are almost certainly being AI upscaled. And they've got a few screenshots here of Hank Green, who I love. These are two different screenshots from one of Hank's shorts. Now, the OP here says, been having an issue for several days wherein shorts looked smeary or as if there was an oil effect applied to them. That's actually a good way to put it. It's like an oil.
That's actually a really good way to put it. It looks like an oil painting effect, right? And it's AI, like you said, some overlay or whatever, right? And I think what's happening is that they're trying to get people used to this look, this type of look, because a lot of this stuff is going to be AI deepfakes and it's not going to look real, right? So they're trying to get people used to viewing this, you know, this unreal look, right? And so what I've noticed is when I get on my, because I don't get on shorts very often, but when I do, I get hooked on it, right? So I scroll down like probably 1,000 times in one sesh, right? But what I've noticed is they progressively get worse, that this oil painting effect gets worse the longer I stay on it and the more I scroll through. And then I've also noticed too that the ones that have the most oil effects later, when I get down scrolling past a couple hundred, are ones that have had AI models made after them like excessively. Like for example, the only ones that I think that can have possibly have like a full-on AI model, like just mimic their exact look, are like Eminem, Rick Beato, Lincoln, the dude from Linkin Park, or just any one of their performances or whatever, any one of them, and Charlie Kirk was one of them, and shit. Anyway, those are the ones I can think of right now. But it's always ones that have had just hundreds, well, I'm sorry, millions and billions of views on YouTube Shorts. And they I swear to God, they put, after about 50 or 60 of you scrolling down, it'll start to come more and more, and then it'll start to look like everything is this oil painting cartoon, right? And like I said, it's like Eminem, Rick Beato, Charlie Kirk, and especially Charlie Kirk. But here's the thing. So now, what I think is happening is I think that they're doing this specifically for the reason, for this, when this happens, that they can get their propaganda in there, but using an AI model of someone or something or, you know, whatever they're trying to use, right? But now, since they have this AI model of Charlie Kirk, they can literally control what he says and the message that he sends after his death. Think about it. Like, his voice and his image can make and say anything using his voice with his specific word set, and he doesn't, as far as him moving around and stuff, he's not in different locations. He's always got some backdrop behind him, which is easy to fake, and then he's holding a microphone. Like, his actual movements and stuff to get his message across is not hard to AI fake and deep fake it, and deep fake it well. And here's the thing, it's with YouTube Shorts, which isn't like posting a video where there's going to be, you know what I mean, a date and time and whatever right there. The only way to really tell is to read the messages, right? So what I've done is I've gone and I did with one of my YouTube or my short sessions, and got on YouTube Shorts and just literally took almost 10 hours and scrolled and scrolled and scrolled, and then ate some food, took a shit, came back and scrolled and scrolled and scrolled. And I did it as much as I possibly could in like 10 hours, dude. And so far, every single thing about Charlie Kirk that has been posted since his death is something that didn't happen that day. Okay, for example, why would there be anything posted after he dies about him giving some stand-up and answering questions that wasn't from Utah, right? That wasn't from, or, you know, the last couple, these things or whatever, the college talks or whatever, right? Some of these, oh my gosh, dude, like, they are literally trying to keep him, like, he's literally still alive. Like, I mean, as far as the internet's concerned, like, people, and that's how people know Charlie Kirk, is through YouTube Shorts, right? And that's how he got famous, like, basically. So anyways, they're controlling what he says, right? As opposed to, you know, waiting for some kind of like violent reaction from the general public, which isn't going to happen because, like I said, everybody's been pussified. All right. So this is how the government is going to tap into all those millions of people that they can't get to pay attention to them. They're going to do it through fucking somebody that's dead, and then change what they say through YouTube Shorts. It's happening. It's already happening. And see, here's where it's going to get people, dude. And this is going to man, so many people are going to fall for this, but it's going to be what Charlie's message was, right? And what was his message? Whatever you say, no, you're wrong. Prove it. You know what I mean? Whatever you said, religion, whatever, prove it. How are you going to prove it? You're going to go to YouTube Shorts and watch what he said, right? And in that process right there is what the government is relying on, because what you see now isn't going to be stuff that he said months ago or years ago, and it's not going to give you a glimpse into what his purpose was, because it's going to be AI deep faked, and it's going to say whatever message the government wants him to say, right? Literally, that's what's happening. I'm going to show you right now. Well, just know that there's going to be so many channels that go live and have these talks about Charlie and what if he was racist, or if he was like anti-religious or white privilege or whatever the fuck the things were. Even with the South Park thing. So they said they're going to ban that South Park episode. It's literally all over YouTube Shorts, right? You can see it on YouTube Shorts, and you can even see Charlie endorsing it. You know what I mean? But again, just let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to give you an example of this through something else, though, right? Okay, just so you can see what I'm saying. This is like the 8th hour of me scrolling down through YouTube Shorts. This is what the AI, this is what the people start to look like, right? Look how fucking fake this is.
Do you know what the 4 basic human emotions are? Mad, sad, glad, and scared. All other emotions are a volume knob on one of those 2. Right? For you, long term, one of the things that's going to help you is figuring out what is driving this anxiety state. Want a little hint? It's fear. Scared drives anxiety. What if I told you?
It's a lot of like DIY, like little tricks or whatever, and then sometimes it'll go to like skating and then like guitar playing, right? So, but then like again, after a couple hours and after going through a couple hundred of these, it starts to go to like mental health and then completely fake, 100% identifiable fake AI people like this, and and then it's like straight like psychological stuff, dude. You know what I mean? It's really it's brainwashingly crazy that this happens, right? And then so okay, here is kind of just an overview of his last little bit of content, right? Like the things he was talking about, the things they were saying and whatnot. Here's just like a couple clips of that, and then I'll show you what they just showed, right? Okay, so here. Okay, so that's the kind of shit that, has been going on, right? And now this is what I hear right now today.
Is allowed to do things that you and I are not allowed to do. And anyone that challenges the ruling class, they're going to throw everything they have at you. And so we could complain about it, or we could try to fix it and try to expose it, which is obviously, what my life's work is in.
Think about what he supposedly just said, and look at the way he's dressed, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, when that's like a call to action almost. You know what I'm saying? He's never been about that, right? He doesn't talk like that. And look at the there's no, like, it's not like posting a normal video, right? But if you look at the comments, check this out. 54 comments, dude. Anything with Charlie Kirk's name on it gets over 100,000, period, dude. So 54 comments, and the oldest one is maybe 3 days ago, maybe, right? So this just came out just recently, dude. And it's just specifically that message that we should expose,
Look, there is a two-tier justice system where the ruling class is allowed to do things that you and I are not allowed to do. And anyone that challenges the ruling class, they're going to throw everything they have at you. And so we could complain about it, or we could try to fix it and try to expose it, which is obviously, what my life's work is in. Look,
see what I'm saying? Anybody who wanted to research Charlie Kirk now that he's dead, like me, like, oh man, what was he all about? Now it sees this instead of the body of work that he had put on before he died, which is like more accurately talking about the way that he is and whatever. But instead they're going to see this. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, this is by design. And again, this was posted 3 days ago, right? And his message is, well, we should stop talking about it, stop redressing our government, and start doing something about it, like, exposing them or fixing it, right? That's never been his message, ever. Fake. It is not him. Obviously not him, right? Then I come across this, which is fucking... This really fucked me up. Like, not because of what it is, but because of how it became to be in front of me, right? Because this is like my 10th hour scrolling through these fucking things, right? Then this happens. So, you're reading that right. So I'm thinking to myself, holy shit, dude, somehow this came up on the algorithm, right? This old footage of 9/11. Fuck no. They just posted this shit 3 days ago. Why would they do that and have it playing right after some Charlie Kirk shit? You know what I'm saying? How is that? Now, it's the YouTube Shorts. You don't pick these things, right? And I've never watched buildings blowing up or anything that has to do with terrorism, right? Ever. And this just comes up right after my 10th hour of scrolling through, and then like 7 or 8 straight Charlie Kirk things that just got put up that are obviously not from the Utah, speech that he gave or anything like that, but from years ago that just came up today. And then this got posted 3 days ago and just so happened to be in the same reel. I mean, come on, dude. Anyhow, so I saw the amount of, if you look over here, I saw the amount of messages or comments, and there's a bunch of them. There's over 6,000, and I scrolled through about 2,000 of them, and sure enough, they are all within the last 3 days.
This is the clearest footage of 9/11's ever seen. Watch closely. This is the clearest footage of 9/11's ever seen. Watch closely.
First of all, it looks hella enhanced by AI or completely fake. And second, how would the cameraman know to like point his camera up right at that moment? You know what I'm saying? Look how crazy this is. And then I'll show you some of the comments.
This is the clearest footage of 9/11's ever seen. Watch closely. This is the clearest footage of 9/11's ever seen. Watch closely. This is the clearest footage of 9/11's ever seen. Watch closely.
You guys see what I'm saying now, right? Like, this is crazy. Why would this footage all of a sudden pop up right next to, something after you've been looking at Charlie Kirk's death, right? They want you to think of this the same. Dude, it's all psychological bullshit. There's over 7,000 of these comments, and they were all posted within the last day and a half.
This is the clearest footage of 9/11's ever seen. Watch closely. This is the clearest footage of 9/11's ever seen. Watch closely.
Your woman's explaining.
In this verse, Andre 3000 uses this technique.
He's not wrong. There is no unity with someone who lies about what Charlie Kirk said in order.
If you're Australian, you probably shouldn't be rapping. I'm not gonna lie. I love Australians.
If you killed a baby.
My point is, if you were going to tell a fake story about the assassination of Charlie Kirk, hypothetically at this point when he was still alive, you would absolutely use the storyline of this kid asking this exact same question right when he got shot. I mean, it's ironic. It's tragic. It has everything that a good story would. You know what I mean? Like.
Well, my name is Hunter. I was in the middle of debating Charlie Kirk in the middle of the assassination at Utah Valley University.
Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years?
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Great.
Really? The one kid that literally makes videos specifically on this guy.
Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years?
That was the question right before he got shot.
Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years? Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years?
That is the question that was asked, and then his answer was cut off with a bullet going through his neck. Give me a fucking break, okay? Give me a fucking break. That's all I gotta say.
Years.
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Great.
What brought you to the event that day?
I make videos on Charlie Kirk, and I made this video.
Crazy. This kid just happens to make videos on Charlie Kirk. You know what I mean? And just so happens he looked at the schedule, and it just so happens that one of the stops on this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 university schedule was his. Oh, crazy, right? And it just so happens that he was at the front asking him a question about shooting when it just so happens he got shot. That's a lot too many just so happens. You know what I'm saying?
The statistical analysis on trans shooters.
So this guy makes specifically solely only videos on Charlie Kirk on TikTok specifically about shooters and mass shooters in high school and college shooters, trans shooters, and and this kid happens to ask the exact question about gang violence and shootings. And then Charlie Kirk gets shot in the middle of answering his question about shootings. Give me a fucking break. You telling me that is not timed exactly to that point? I mean, again, the target's not moving. The target is Charlie Kirk's head, and they waited until this very moment to pull the trigger. He literally could have been shot at any moment, at a better moment as far as shooting goes. You know what I mean? Come on, it's just ridiculous. Now, here's what's tripping everybody up is because we are still living under the the idea that when people are martyred like this or somebody dies, that we are to carry on what they were saying or whatever. And that's where it doesn't make sense with Charlie Kirk, because the message he was sending wasn't, you know what I mean, to support your local government and, the government is good, people are bad, okay? That's not what he was supporting. And so I'm going to let his answer to the question earlier play out and listen to this military kid is asking for Charlie Kirk's advice about going into the military and, still being able to serve his country and not, have a moral disruption with that. So, and his answer, again, I don't know this guy, but his answer to me was how I would answer the question, which to me is just mind blowing, dude. And so that's where, and I think that's where people are getting tripped up, is because they're like, oh, he's speaking the truth, and then they killed him, right? Well, that would make any sense, because if he was speaking the truth, that would be anti-government, and to kill somebody who's speaking out anti-government would just martyr his voice as an anti-government thing, and people would hinge on that, and that's where most people would draw their. Or that's where people would end their thought process. They would say, oh, well, he's speaking out against the government, so of course they shot him. But again, like I said, that's some petty criminal shit, and the government is far beyond petty criminals at this point. In fact, it's always 10 times more devious than something just as easy as covering your own ass to shut somebody up. You know what I mean? That's 1960s style government, execution stuff. It's 2025.
upholds these values like these, and how can we as conservatives fight against these policies while still serving proudly?
First of all, what's your name?
Hayden.
Hayden, thank
Now, if you haven't heard this one, buckle up because his answer is going to be really real.
you for wanting to serve our country. You should be applauded for that. Thank you. And so, you want to serve your country.
Yes, sir.
Not your government.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
You swear an oath to the Constitution and the people of the country,
Yes, sir.
not the government.
I told you, you're not ready for this shit.
Those are two different things. We have great people in this country. We have fallen. We are definitely in a place where I think we're in moral decline. But look at the goodness that still exists in this country.
Yes, sir.
And you're fighting to uphold those ideals, that kids can live in a free society. We as conservatives differentiate between love of country and distrust and disdain of the government. Those are two different things. And the country is about our tradition, our history, our values, our people, our culture. And the government is just a temporary stakeholder of charlatans, criminals, and people that are constantly deceiving us and stealing from us.